Let's do it.
Welcome to What the Biz, where we talk about building successful businesses, balancing life, and all the WTB in between. With your hosts,
I'm Brigitte Vector.
And I'm Dan Prochko. Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
I can tell you I am in full Olympic swing right now.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, I'm a fiend, like you wouldn't believe. If we weren't recording right now, that TV would be on, I would be working, and it would have Olympics on all day, all the time. That's how I do it.
So we've interrupted. Our listeners have interrupted your Olympic binge.
My Olympic time.
Watching.
I'm when I play video games, this is going to come back around here. When I play video games, I'm a completionist. I play that game to 100%. Like, it's not like I played the storyline and I'm done. I throw it in a bin. I never play it again. No, I play that game for hours until I get like every achievement. I've completed every side mission, the whole thing. So when it comes to the Olympics, I try to watch every sport through the end, like all the qualifiers, all the heats. Like, I try to catch as much of it as I can. Like, there's no event with so much variety of sport other than the Olympics that I can think of where you can stream and watch so much and see so much amazing talent and just feel that rush. I don't know. I love it. I absolutely love it.
That's awesome. I mean, I get into gymnastics because my daughter used to do it and she likes kind of watching, right? All of that. Their raw talent, it always amazes me. But I mean, I would say yes. Like every athlete. It's just amazing.
So do you watch the prime time or do you go back and stream like the full event or anything?
I normally see highlights. Like, I would love to watch all of it, but schedule does not allow for that right now.
Did you watch the U.S. women's then? I mean, did you watch the Bio Team event? Yeah, that was, they were dominant, to say the least. Dominant.
They absolutely were.
And
then I got sucked into the men's gymnastics team, right? So they broke their horrible non-medaling streak. They got bronze.
They got bronze.
But I was pulled into the whole. Somebody had a headline of the Clark Kent of men's gymnastics. So I had to see what that was all about. And talk about honing in to master a skill and just being the best you can be at that. Like, I loved the story. So yeah, because
there's the one Olympic. I don't have his name, but he wears those glasses, and even the commentators on NBC, they're like, "Yeah, we'll be like when the women's event was going on." I remember hearing it, and we'll see him on pommel horse tomorrow without the glasses. And I'm just like, the glasses are such a big part. It's really funny when he wears the glasses. He's like a nobody. Takes them off, gymnast superstar.
I loved it.
That's very funny.
Good.
Yeah. I got into the skateboarding and BMX biking this year too. Didn't catch those in previous years, but this year, that was fun. That was good stuff.
Have they always had that?
They're newer. I think the first time they had skateboarding was 8 years ago.
Okay.
Maybe 12. Like, it's still fairly new. And BMX, I think, is very new. I don't know if this first year for BMX biking or not. But it was so much fun. It was really a lot of fun. BMX, it's the fifth year for racing. And then, that's all I know. Yeah, I think it was new. BMX freestyle, like the tricks and stuff, I think was new in Tokyo 4 years ago. But yeah, really fun, really cool. It's very interesting to see the skateboarders and BMX bikers versus, like, say, swimmers and gymnasts, or even like fencing. Okay. The gymnasts, the fencing, the swimming, like, they are like hardcore. I got my numbers. This is what we're going to do. And when they win, they're just like, they're like amped, they're slapping the water, the whole thing. Skateboarders, it was really interesting because they're so chill. They're really laid back. Same with the BMX bikers. They do the tricks. They're doing all this. They're there for the audience. And like, when they win gold, it's just like a fist in the air. Like, yeah, thank you. Like, real cool. And like, even if they miss out, they're like hugging each other. Like, man, that was a blast. That was like so cool. Like it was really a different culture between the two.
That's interesting because that the work that goes into any event is so much, right? Which is why I think like the swimmers and the gymnasts and like they get so animated, right? But those in the other events are just pouring in their same amount of like soul into training. I don't know. When you were mentioning them, I'm like, maybe it's because they kind of just live on the edge all the time. Like, that's a very like intense thing, right? And they're just like, oh yeah, like I did it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I can't put too much pressure on myself for all this because I'm pretty much gambling my life.
Yeah, like I didn't wipe out today. Yes, fist in the air.
Yeah. So it's really funny. You got to go back, got to watch it like side by side on your computer or whatever, just see highlights of one and see highlights of another. It's really stark difference.
Now I'm going to have to.
Yeah, gonna have
I
to.
wish somebody would analyze why. The wondering part of my brain.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah. So it's interesting that I just brought that up on culture. Not to be that way, because today we're talking about an article that comes from the Small Business Association of Michigan. It's back from June 27th, but here's the headline. New report shows workers would rather go to their dentist than to HR. That's a crazy headline. So just the quick intro to this. Recent survey by My Perfect Resume found that 1,000 respondents, out of 1,000 respondents, 86% fear their human resources representative. And further, 85% reported they hesitate going to HR. They cited things like doubt of confidentiality, fear of repercussions, perceived ineffectiveness, preference to solve the issue on their own, or like uncertainty about HR. And I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts on that one?
Ouch is my first thought. Like, holy cow.
I'm the type of person, like, do you like going to the dentist? I don't mind it. I fall asleep.
Yeah, I actually thoroughly enjoy the dentist because I love the clean teeth feel and all those things.
Same. Yeah, absolutely love it. So one, the dentist doesn't frighten me. Again, HR shouldn't either. Like, this is crazy. And I know what a lot of people listening might be saying is like, we don't have an HR department. You know, we were just talking about that before going on. Like, if you're a small business, you know, I mean, you don't have an HR department. You haven't hired anyone for it. And what that really means is you are the HR department if you're the owner, you know, or operations director. Like, somebody is responsible for HR. So this is really, really relevant in the sense that whether or not you have an HR department or not, your team is probably still feeling these things anyway. So just I had some thoughts about like why this is happening. And I think it just all goes back to, you know, culture of like, what is the culture of a place? And my number one piece is transparency here. I mean, I've worked for places with HR departments, and you know, one thing I always thought they was cold, calculating, and like just following a process rather than, you know, trying to get to know people, what's going on, and where does this fall within, sure, a rule book, fine, whatever that is, but like what's the issue, and so it just always felt like things would happen in secret and wouldn't see what's going on. And so for me, there's a lot there of, you know, having an HR or hiring policy, a team handbook, you know, where it's transparent. People know what that process is. I think alleviates a lot of this, in my opinion. That's my first hot take right there.
So to kind of go off from that, I often feel like the HR piece is far removed from day to day. Like, I don't feel like they even have the relationships with people in the organization. And so, like you mentioned culture, right? I think it comes down to that relationship and building of trust. So when it feels very transactional or very like they're just following this rule book and not very personable, of course, like I would be turned off from going to talk to anybody in that arena. You know, and then the fear of obviously it being like, oh, like, an investigation, or were you the one in the wrong? And then you're the tattletale, or, you know, whatever it is. So, and bringing it back to just the small business owners, right? You are the HR department. Building that trust, like that's what I always think of, is so crucial. Like not only just for employee engagement and, you know, them being stellar members on your team, but this kind of stuff too. If they can trust that they can come to you with concerns or issues because you've built such a good relationship, then you would hope this is a non-issue. And I think when you and I were kind of chatting about this, if it is an issue and they can't, those are the employees that are leaving. And you don't want employees to leave because it costs so much money.
So true.
So I would hope, being a small business owner, you already have a pulse on if something is off or wrong because you're engaged with your employees.
That's such a key piece. Yeah, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I'm trying to think of corporate environments where like HR is heavily like happily involved in any team things. You know what I mean? Like maybe team retreats, but like they don't see day-to-day operations, or they're not in the grind of like what's really happening. Right.
You see HR come out of their cloister, as it were, when there's like a birthday and they're carrying like a cake out somewhere, or you're getting fired. Sometimes that's a piece, or there's some kind of scandal are really most of the times where you're seeing HR is really in negative situations, which is really unfortunate because, human resources or whoever is responsible for that piece is really tasked with the culture and building culture and making sure that everyone has what they need to succeed within the business. I know that for many organizations, training and or educating team members about how they progress within a company, how do they move up, how do they go down a management track versus a individual contributor track, or how do they get the skills to get that next promotion, et cetera. Like a lot of that, I understand is supposed to go through HR, and so when a lot of the people that are listening, smaller companies where they don't have an HR department, they know these things already because they tend to answer those questions already, which is all part of HR. So, I'm sure there's plenty more we can do, but I wanted to ask real quick, is the fact that team members feel this, is it HR's responsibility to fix it?
Ooh.
Like, is it their fault that these are the things going on in the company?
That is a very loaded question.
Is it?
I don't envy HR, to be honest. I feel like that job, that role would be very difficult. And
Sure.
So I don't know that it is on HR to mend and fix. I think they should be aware of it and do more where they can. But to me, if you're in a big enough company, I see that as like a CEO and an operations, like that's kind of their role to bring everybody together. And so I don't think HR being the big bad wolf, right, is their problem to necessarily fix, because I don't know how they could without the support of upper leadership.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Is like, even if HR wanted to make changes, it's, they have a certain level of empowerment, and if leadership above them isn't going to take on or champion any of those initiatives, then they're pretty much going to be dead in the water. So I agree with you, it's completely top down, which means if you don't have an HR department and you're the owner of the business, you are setting that tone the whole way down and making that happen. And so I know you wanted to talk a bit about how do you go about getting to know the team members to reverse this, and or create better cultures, et cetera. It sounded like you had some ideas.
I think it all starts with onboarding, to be honest. So you mentioned how do you progress? What is culture, right? And it probably actually starts before that, because if you're hiring, hopefully you're hiring somebody that fits into your culture. But really just outlining all of that and getting to know your employees as a person. You don't have to be their best friend, right? But you certainly should care and show empathy and have regular check-ins, and tell them how they progress and tell them what to do if they have an issue, and be there to listen. I would also say, I think a huge thing that I really pride myself on and makes a huge difference is being remote. I think some people will feel this if you have a remote team. It's easier to maybe not see mistakes that are happening behind the scenes, especially from the business owner, because you're remote, right? It's probably been found and fixed. I am very open. Like, we actually have a section in our team meetings to say what didn't go so well in the last week or even the last day. And I will easily share mistakes or things that I've done and how I learned from it and what I'm doing to not have it happen again. And I feel like building the trust of being a safe place to bring that mistakes are okay, or having an issue is okay, or bringing hard conversations to the table is okay, really just shows that, empathy, respect, you're modeling what you want everybody to be doing. So I don't know. Those are just my few takes. I don't know if you have any others from your side.
No, I'm in total agreement. I think all of those things are key. I'm just thinking at my past roles of where I thought I had a handle on what this role was supposed to be. And, you start breaking records or outperforming, what was set down as goals, but then not being given those rewards that you think would come with them. And then, you're butting heads with a manager and they're getting angry at you. And it's your tone and the tone of the business, not tone tone and voice, but tone of the business and the cadence and everything just isn't, and what's being communicated isn't aligning with what is being said, or with what we're perceiving and getting back from you. So I remember having quite a few managers in that way where they'd say one thing, but it's not really what they meant. It's what they thought somebody wanted to hear. And that's the worst. And that's the absolute worst. So having that empathy, having that respect. One of the coolest tools that I found and actually passed on to one of my managers was something called, it came from something called, I think, manager tools one-to-ones. And it's something that I continue to do with my team. And it's literally a weekly one-to-one with every team member. And I know that sounds like a lot, but team meetings are not a great time to get to know people because you're actually working on your business. Water cooler conversations are public, in the hallways. So you're not really going to hear all the things that you're hoping to hear in your office hallway. Hopefully you have a culture where people are open and comfortable enough to do it even then, because they're not thinking there's going to be repercussions. But some things are sensitive, where you don't want to share it in the hallways. Maybe there's something privately going on, or there's something pointed at a specific person that they may just need to vent about it or something. And so there's this way of doing a one-to-one that I had learned, and it was about giving your team member the opportunity to just talk about and share what they wanted to talk about. So these one-to-ones, many people, when they think about them, it's like, great, manager comes in, they're going to tell me what they want to tell me for this half hour, and then we get out or whatever. And these one-to-ones are totally different. It's supposed to be split 50-50, but I tend to let the team member just take as much time as they want most weeks, definitely when we're first starting this with new team members, but you're responsible for the half hour. You have to come prepared to this one-to-one. You are running it, and you are telling me what you want to talk about, and you are informing me of things that I need to be informed of, et cetera, as the team leader, owner, manager, et cetera. And it just changes that dynamic because the way I've looked at hierarchy is it's not really that because you're a manager, like you're telling people what to do. It's a different role that's just responsible for different things, and as a manager or a leader, your role is to remove roadblocks, give people what they need to flourish, to be the best they can. And so if I'm coming to these one-to-ones telling them, oh, you need to fix this, or hey, here's this going, everything, it's like it just destroys their agency to be the best employee they can be. And so as it relates to HR, this really helped a lot because it created this safe space where people could share something that wasn't going to proliferate through the company. But if it was something that was super important, it's the owner and the manager that's hearing it who can make a decision or can actually make change that doesn't have to go through 20,000 levels of hierarchy. And so it was really eye-opening because team members are just more engaged. They just really enjoy being part of the company more, and they feel like their voice is heard, and then they see change because if they share it and it's worthy enough, they make a case. Yeah, why wouldn't we put that into place? Or why wouldn't we talk to the rest of the team to see if, hey, should this be improved, et cetera? And we've had so many great innovations because of it. Our new project management software was because of it. We've had a few new changes in processes that made us, I have said before on the podcast, 30% more efficient. Like a lot of this came from these one-to-ones of people just talking about certain frustrations and having ideas on how to fix them, et cetera. It's absolutely amazing. And there were personal things too, where people were like, I have this going on. And it's like, great, how can we help you? Being able to give people certain days off or time off to take care of things, that's amazing to just see them not be worried, to remove that stress, and have them feel like they're able to live a life with dignity, et cetera. And it's not just about punching a clock and getting things done. And we were able to do that through just one-to-ones, just something as simple as one-to-one. So yeah, I talked a lot there, but that was like the biggest tool and thing that I've come across recently.
No, that is phenomenal insight. I'm glad that you touched on the time, because I'm like, well, how much time are you spending in these, right? Like, especially as teams grow, and if you don't get the secondary manager to help eliminate some of that. But I absolutely love the idea of the team member being responsible for the agenda, because you may not know what their most pressing top of mind thing is. And if they don't get an opportunity to talk about that, it is going to continue to be something something that is an issue or something that they are like, I don't know, worried about, bothered by, like whatever you want to enter there. So them
Or
being
even
able
resentment.
to, yes.
Yeah, resentment can form. Yeah.
Or even excitement, like maybe they have something wonderful to share,
Totally.
right? And they don't get the opportunity. So I love the team-led agenda.
Yeah, I don't know if I was clear on it, and you kind of alluded to it, but the team member, they're the ones on the front lines. Like they're doing the work, the day-to-day work. Many of them are even interfacing. I say word interfacing, communicating with clients, and so they're hearing what's happening. And when you're a manager, you're a few levels up from it, or an owner, you're not necessarily there seeing it. What's the field of battle, as it were. This is why, like in modern military, I'm going to go down a whole thing. I'm a nerd. I read things. Modern militaries of the West, they allow people in the field to make decisions. Whereas like Eastern Bloc countries, Russia, they don't let people in the field make decisions. It has to come literally from the Kremlin all the way down. And so you can see why certain militaries or things in certain places overcome others, and why there are fumbles that, we've seen in the last few years with what's going on. But like those types of things are real. Organizations that wait for a top-down structure are slow to change. They've got very hierarchical cultures and like status and class, and people do feel subservient and not equal, but when you empower people and allow them to have free will and thought, you create a more equitable workplace, and a place where people feel like they can thrive, and it's a big deal. It's And I think doing that can help get over this hurdle of what this article is talking about. And, definitely around perceptions of ineffectiveness, lack of response, or fear of repercussions. Those things for sure can be solved through this. I think the confidentiality piece, dude, keep things confidential. Like, oh man, like
Easy.
Things that are sensitive, keep it confidential. That one's easy. Like, don't go around sharing that one. But, and that one's so easy. But yeah, the rest is caring, being empathetic, communicating. Yeah.
Yeah. I think me as a business owner, this has been the hardest thing for me. So not having team members that can come to me, like I have that, like the trust is there. The management has been the hardest thing for me to step into or gain experience with as a business owner. I've read a lot of books. I've tried to engross myself in as much, training type things that I can. It's been a lot of trial and error as we've gone. So just from my personal side, some of my top easy read books that I've really enjoyed when I've been getting into how do I build this culture and build this trust and, have this team that can come to me with things. Leaders Eat Last by Simon, is it Sinek? Sinek. I really like that one because it just talks about creating that safe environment so that employees really do feel valued and trusted. Dare to Lead by Brené Brown has been one of my favorite ones. And The Five Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni, I think is how you pronounce it.
Lencioni. Yeah.
He has a slew of amazing management books. And I like some of his because he actually puts it in story form. So it's much easier to just read.
Oh yeah, those books are great. Totally.
Yeah.
I've read a few of those. Some of those are still on a list of mine that I haven't gotten to. So, but I've heard really good things. So
I may own them. So if you want to borrow them anytime, just let me know.
Ooh, nice. I like that. Anything else? I think we've kind of fully covered that one. It's focus on culture. So what do you got coming up next? What are you working on?
Oh goodness. Actually the team was in office today. We were in person hanging out, doing some strategic planning. So the team wants to get involved in some local networking stuff. So they're going to be finding some networking groups to visit. And
cool.
Yeah, we're just really focused on adding some clients to our roster where we can, really help them with their own growth initiatives and, support on that financial side because we have the capacity again since we made our wonderful new hire. So
awesome. Well, I will keep an eye out for them because I'm sure I'll be frequenting some of the same events. I'll get them introduced to some cool people. I have kind of some sad news. My wife's grandmother passed away. And so we are going to be traveling for that soon. Celebration of life and everything. Really a shock, actually, came real suddenly. So we are, family's kind of reeling from that a bit. So not very happy, but brings the family together, and so we get to see each other. I'm always for that. I hope it's more for happy reasons, but really, really love getting the family together. Other than that, had a new client start up for some advertising services. So we are just rocking on all cylinders there. Yeah, we've had a lot of growth this summer so far. So
good.
Yeah, really, really excited about that. That's everything here.
Sorry to hear about the grandmother, though.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Tough, yeah.
Leave us a review if you like the episode. Thank you for listening. Hit up whatthebiz.com. You can leave us a voicemail. Send us a message. We'd love, like I said, we'd love a review on whatever your favorite listening platform is, whether that be Apple, Spotify, Podcast Addict, etc., wherever that may be. It helps the algorithms show us to others in a way. So we will, on that note, see you next week.